Hey guys, welcome back to my channel, and today for our vlog series I thought it would be fun, since we are talking about eating disorders in female college athletes, that we could have first-hand experience from former Colorado State University volleyball player Marlee Richburg. Okay, and so we're just going to kind of talk about her experience as a female athlete who had eating disorder problems and just kind of get a first-hand look into what that looks like. So, Marlee, why don't you just tell the audience your experience being a student athlete who also struggled with eating disorders while playing a sport in college?
So I played at CSU from 2010 to 2014. We were 5-time conference champions. We were very good. It was a interesting experience. If I look back, I don't know if I would do it again, but I got a free school out of it, so that's the most important thing, and a husband and not 2 kids. So
there you go.
For me, it was a challenge. It was a hit to the ego my freshman year, because I went from being the all-star of my high school team to being the lowest of the low of a college team, and that was kind of hard. So I think that I was in a rocky place just from the beginning, and with my coach and I had a real rocky relationship. He didn't know how to coach me well that fit my personality. And I'm not saying every coach has to bend over backwards to make every athlete feel good about themselves, but he even apologized to me later on that he didn't do me right during my time there. And so my time, although it was good and I met a lot of people and had friends and stuff, it was filled with a lot of anxiety and just like depression and sadness. And my eating disorder started because I had my head coach, going into the summer between my freshman and sophomore year, told me I should see a dietitian so I didn't gain weight over the summer. And that to me was like out of left field, like where is this coming from? And it just really got into my head. And I even remember talking to my strength coach, who's also a male, and I was like, hey, Tom told me this, like, do you have any recommendations? And he was really shocked to hear that a coach had told me that, because as my strength coach, he's seen my body and like what the muscle I put on and this and that, and he hadn't seen any like red flags of like putting on the freshman 15 or gaining weight or anything. So we both thought it was kind of out of left field. And after that, it just was always like a little bit of a bug in the back of my mind, like, okay, like I better look a certain way, or like I better not gain weight, otherwise what if I lose my scholarship, or my coach doesn't like me or something. So that was always a bug in the back of my mind. And whenever I had a second shoulder surgery my sophomore year, shoulders are pretty important in volleyball. And so I was kind of freaking out, and I was scared that I was going to gain weight after the surgery, or like, what if I couldn't jump as high? What if I lost my athletic ability? And that's whenever it really kicked in, and I lost about 30 to 40 pounds after surgery of weight that I should not have lost. I was very, very thin, very skinny. And it was, I don't know, it was just like maybe me taking some control, having like that control of like what I was eating, what I was not eating, that kind of thing. And also just like fear of gaining weight was like a big part of it. So
Gotcha. Okay, and so with your experience, what do you think schools, universities, coaches, athletics program staffs, what do you think they can do to help these athletes who are struggling with eating disorders?
I think being more aware of it, of like what's going on, instead of like turning a blind eye, and like knowing how to speak to females, especially, like we can be a little more sensitive. So I think like if there is some sort of body issue, like there has been weight gain, like finding a way to talk about it without making someone feel bad about themselves. For me, in my experience, it was noticed by my coach, but instead of it being like, let's help you, it was like a little bit, I think he was just frustrated at the situation and like frustrated for me. I felt like I was being like reprimanded, and like I got in trouble by him a little bit for my actions. And even our athletic trainer, she had told me like, oh, well, if you have eating disorder, like you have to be a certain BMI before you'd have to be able to play again. So it was kind of like they made me more scared to say something, because I was afraid that, oh gosh, like if I say something, then I could not be able to play because I don't have a heavy enough weight. Like, you know, so it was just like more like scare tactics a little bit. So I would recommend just like being like a little more gentle and loving, and just like knowing you're talking to kids. Like, I mean, like adults, but we're still like kids. We're college kids, you know, and just being more mindful of what someone is going through mentally. And like, and it's not necessarily just the eating disorder, but like other outside factors that could be playing into it.
Gotcha. And then how did you overcome, like how were you able to combat these eating disorders while still being an athlete?
I think I just got to the point where I just was like, oh man, I don't know. That's actually a really good question, because it's something I've struggled with through my entire, from the age of 19 until, I mean, I still struggle with it now, but not to the extreme that I did, but it is something that's like always I've kind of in my mind. But I don't know, that I think I just got to the point where I just was tired maybe of being tired, and I wasn't as extreme, but I would say that the habits of like vomiting and like maybe not eating as much like carried out through college, but it wasn't as consistent all the time. And I don't know if it was just like my own mental strength that just came in, was like, I don't want to do this. I don't really have a clear answer for that, like for my personal journey, because it is something that I struggled with like throughout my whole 20s.
Gotcha. Okay, and then one last question to wrap up. Do you have any tips or any thoughts to give to female college athletes who are struggling with eating disorders and how to overcome those habits?
Just tell someone and get help, because I feel like anytime like you're struggling with something and you just keep it in, it's just like a monster that just keeps growing and getting stronger and stronger and stronger. So if it's telling a trusted teammate, like a friend, if you do have that relationship with your coach, be able to tell them, strength coach, your athletic trainer. I know a lot of athletic staffs now have a counselor on hand, so then you're not having to go to someone that sees like the general population of students. Like you can see someone that's there for you as an athlete. So my biggest thing is just like humble yourself and just say something, and seek help, and be okay with seeking help, and like know that you're not alone, and to not be ashamed. And then it also goes for teammates. If you're seeing it in a teammate, like some actions or behaviors that are concerning, then talk to them about it, and don't just keep it to yourself. Like that's what teammates are for, to look out for each other and help each other out in your team. And so I think if you see that behavior in someone else, then you need to reach out and just say something, even if it upsets them or anything. You would rather help someone out than regret not saying anything.
Yeah, definitely. Well, thank you, Marlee, for sharing with us, giving us your time, sharing your experiences and your thoughts. We hope to see you back on the vlog one day.
Of course.